I have conducted a lot of mock interviews. I have seen a lot of people make communication mistakes. They start jumping and writing code, and I'm sitting like, what are you doing? Why are you doing? And at the end, that's not even right. So it's a big no. Yeah, so the agenda for today is I'm trying to start the series wherein I will be doing mock interviews with myself. This looks weird, but I think it would be a good way for you to also see how you guys should practice when you are doing it alone. Of course, everyone has to practice alone, and not everyone can have mock interviews every day. Even if I have to do this for YouTube, like I was trying to do more mock interview questions, mock interview videos on my channel, but then I have to, ask someone to conduct mock interviews or to give mock interviews. And if not working, if it's not interesting to watch, then again, it's not going to work out because I don't want to waste your time. I try to do this myself, like I'm conducting mock interviews for myself, and I will try to answer the questions as well with the mindset of like I'm in a real coding interview. I hope this helps because a lot of times when you're practicing, you are either doing it the wrong way and you don't have anyone to tell you. Like when you are in your schools, you have exams which judge you, which grade you, and you know that how good you are doing in some subject. But in interviews, you only, if you want to apply to Google, you sit in the interview and only then you fail. And then the focus is not as much on learning, but like you failed, and the learning opportunities are really less in that sense. So that's why when you're preparing yourselves, I hope you can watch this video, solve this problem together with me, and figure out like what are the areas where you are lacking probably, and you can also tell me in comments where I can improve. So in this way the community can interact and benefit from each other. And let's start with the video. So I'm going to read the problem, and this is going to be a long series. I'll be doing this consistently, and let's see how this goes. Now I'm going to read the problem, then I'm going to act exactly how I'm going to act in a coding interview. And communications and how do you approach. Sometimes you know the solutions, but you're not conversing the right way. All these things happen. And the agenda for this playlist is for you to, binge watch, like once we have enough videos in the series, for you to binge watch the series and see a bunch of mock interview questions because it becomes interesting. So yeah, let's try to start now. All right. Number of recent calls. You have a recent counter class which counts the number of recent requests within a certain time frame, and I have to implement this class which has a constructor and it initializes the counter with zero recent requests. All right, and then I have to implement a function ping. It accepts an integer argument and returns an integer. And what is it doing? It adds a new request at time t, where t represents some time in milliseconds, and it has to return the number of requests that happened in the past 3000 milliseconds, including the new request. Specifically, return the number of requests that have happened in the inclusive range of t minus 3000 to t. Makes sense. It is guaranteed that every call to ping uses a strictly larger value of t than the previous call. Every call to ping uses a strictly larger. Alright, so what they are saying is whenever this function is called, each time they call it, the value passed in would be greater than the previous one, strictly larger. Alright, makes sense. So this question, the first benefit that I'm feeling is that I had my own leisure of reading the problem. In interviews, generally it might happen that the interviewer, and especially when you are having remote interviews, you are meeting on video call and then they are telling this question verbally in English probably, and you have to process what they are saying as well as write down. So first step that I would like to do once I hear the question is start writing down and confirm that I got exactly what they're trying to say. So in this case, and lead code, I'm using lead code over here, and it already has this structure that I have to write, but this is exactly what I would have written if this was blank, because I would have confirmed that, okay, is this what we are going to implement for the next 40 minutes? Are we on the same page? Because it might happen that you start doing something and then the interviewer is like, but I didn't ask that, I am talking about this, and you are like, oh my god, so now this is bad for you for two reasons. You did, like, he will be, or the interviewer will be writing that you do not ask clarifying questions, and the other thing is you have wasted time. So now you have even less chance to impress and increase your chances of getting the job. So I'm going to write a class recent counter. It has a constructor. It should as it has mentioned, initialize the counter with 0 recent requests. All right, um, initial init stuff will come over here, and then I have a function that this is where I should focus on, this ping function. And all right, so the thing that we have to do is, and if I can take an example also, uh, when you are doing ping with 3002, it's saying that you have these four requests with the time period of 100, 3001, and 3002. So when you made a request at the 3002 millisecond, it is returning 3 because these are the three requests in the range of t minus 3000 to t, which range becomes 2 to 3002, and these are inclusive ranges. And since 1 is smaller than 2, it's not a valid choice, and you have three choices which are valid. Similarly, when you pinged at 3001, the requests were 100 and 3001, so you had three requests, and the range becomes t minus 3000, in this case 1 to 3001, and 1 was lucky here because this range is inclusive, and that's why all these requests come in the interval of last 3000 milliseconds or last 3 seconds, so that's why you return 3. So what I'm seeing is you keep on inserting new numbers which are always bigger. So you are always inserting bigger numbers in the array, and at the end you want to find out how many numbers in these arrays are in the range t to t minus 3000, right? That's what you're trying to do. Now, of course, the brute force way is when you are asked to count the number of requests in range t minus 3000 to t. The brute force way would be to iterate on the complete request array, and that's what we are going to maintain. So we should have some array over here, some data structures, some list over here, and we should add t to that. I'm just writing code for explanation. Of course, this is not correct syntax. I'll come to that later. But at this point of time, I'm just trying to communicate with the interviewer that we are going to maintain, and it should better be requests, so it adds more clarity. So I'm maintaining an array of requests. Whenever I get some request at time t, I insert it to my request array. And now I'm interested how many requests are in this range. And the brute force way would be order n. Of course, we can do a lot better. And actually this initialization, let's do that now. So this is a vector of int requests, and in the constructor we should initialize this to an empty. We can ignore it from here. So how can we do this? Now, one interesting thing that I can see right over here is if you have something like 1 2 3 4, let's say, and then 10, and let's say the interval range is 5. Now when I inserted 10, I'm interested in the range 5 to 10, and as you can see, there would be a portion of prefix that is no longer valid for further queries, because right now my range is 5 to 10, and these four numbers are not valid because they are not coming in that time interval. And moving forward in future, this ping function will always be called by t value which is greater than 10, right? And since we are looking in the interval range of 5, there will be no way these four numbers can contribute in my answer in future ever. So if a number is not in the valid interval range right now, it will never happen that it can participate in future requests, right? Because right now the range is t minus 5 to t, and t is always increasing with time. So if current number 4 is not coming in this range, it means that 4 is smaller than t minus 5, right? And since t is always increasing, 4 will never come in any possible answers in the future. So this means that we can, once we remove a number from a request array, it is no longer needed, and we are always pushing back a number once. So each request is going to go once in my and actually we should use deque over here, because since it's always sorted, what we are essentially doing is iterating on the prefix of request, and if it's in the range, we keep it like that. Otherwise we keep on removing that. So what I'm trying to do is something like while request dot front is less than t minus, and the range over here is 3000. So till the point it is less than t minus 3000, I can simply remove that. So pop underscore front, and vector does not have pop underscore front. So it's better if you use dq over here, and that you have to include, right? So that's what I'm trying to do. I'm having a dq, which means in order one time, I can insert to the back, I can remove from the front, and all those things are possible now. So that's exactly what I'm doing. When I get the request, I'm pushing that to the end, and until the front requests are less than t minus 3000, I do not care about them. So removing unnecessary requests. And once I come out of it, I know that each request right now in my DQ is valid because it will be in the range t minus 3000 to t. So now I can simply return request.size. All requests are now valid. And this was actually straightforward. Let me just try to run and see if it's working. This seems to work. Let me just submit it and accept it. So this was the point. I only hit the submit button when I was sure. I went through the code. I felt that everything is working fine, and that's why I pressed submit. So submit button is similar to saying to interviewer that I have written the code. You can have a look now. And at that point of time, you want to be sure, because this might seem an easy question, but the solution that we have used over here is pretty good because it's highly optimized. And if you talk about the time complexity, it might look like you're using a while loop, maybe order n, but that's not the case. It's now we are talking about amortized time complexity. All right, look at the amortized time complexity. It's not always order n for every run that you call Bing function, because in your DQ every number is pushed once, every request is pushed once, and every request is popped once. You have total n requests, so no matter how many times you call ping, the total time complexity would be order n, not order n per run, order n overall, right? Make sense? If you enjoy short written content on software engineering, make sure to follow me on LinkedIn and Twitter. For pictures, follow me on Instagram, and for programming memes, again on Instagram with the account I can't name variables. So the time complexity is very good. The space complexity, of course, can be order n, because it might happen that you flood all your requests within the range, within the time interval of 3000. So your DQ needs to maintain each and every request that you pinged. So that's why the space complexity would be order n. Time complexity would be order n, where n is the number of times you called ping, or the number of requests you finally sent to this recent counter. So yeah guys, I hope this was fun to watch, and this is how I would have approached this. If you had used something like, since your array is always sorted, if you did not use something like this but maintained a simple list of sorted ints, and you wanted to calculate the request in the range t minus 3000 to t, you could have used binary search, right? You could have used lower bounds to figure out what is the index of the first number which is greater than or equal to t minus 3000, and from that you could have established how many requests are valid right now. So that was another approach which would have taken log n, if n is the size of your array, and since you are never popping out and simply always inserting your request to the array, your array will keep on growing, and it will have order n space, order n size, and your ping operation would be log n per operation per call, and that's where the overall time complexity becomes order n log n, and in this way we were able to do it in order n. So that is the benefit. It might look very trivial, but it's good to discuss this trade-off with the interviewer. If you were using binary search, it would have costed you a log n extra factor. I hope guys this video was fun to watch. This is how I generally approach in interviews. Have a clear clarity on what we are going to implement. Write the code. When I'm writing the code, try to communicate, and only hit the submit button when I'm sure that this is going to work. And then be ready with the time and space complexity analysis. I hope this was fun to watch. Let me know in comments if you have any more advices. I'm happy to accommodate to that in future videos. The good thing is you can do this together with me. You can read the problem, try to solve this while I'm doing it with you, and see and compare like what are the good things you are doing that you can talk with me, and I will try to learn that, and what are the good things that I am doing, and probably you can adapt to that. I have conducted a lot of mock interviews. I have seen a lot of people make communication mistakes. They start jumping and writing code, and I'm sitting like, what are you doing? Why are you doing? And at the end, that's not even right. So it's a big no. And that's the feedback that I have been giving a lot of candidates. And I hope when I'm doing this way, you can see the perspective of what exactly do they mean by communication. So I hope in that sense, these videos are fun to watch. Let me know in comments. And if you are interested in source code, you can go to github.com, Rachit IITR. I have a repo in which the lead code solutions, I store it in this repo. You can star it if you want to stay updated. And refer to video description, guys. It has all the necessary links. So guys, this channel has been extensively talking about data structures, algorithms, coding interviews, even sharing my own coding interview experiences with you guys. So if this is something which interests you or you're passionate about, make sure to like this video, subscribe to this channel, and most importantly, hit the bell icon. It really means a lot. So that's pretty much about it, guys. I'll see you in the next one. Happy coding. Till then, bye bye.